Hey guys, and good morning. I woke up today to find out the entire Fantastical Parade card list has already been revealed here online on Pokemon Zone. And today we're going to be going over this set and really talking about these new meta-changing cards and what I really think about them. So consider this your spoiler warning. If you don't want to see this now, don't worry. I'll catch you guys later in today's live stream when we go live and play the game. Otherwise, like, hype, and subscribe. Let's hop right into it. Fantastical Parade. Now, I'm going to be going in a different order. I'm going to be talking about the trainer cards first before talking about all these Pokemon cards. And the first trainer card I want to talk about is this Protective Poncho. And it's going to lean into what this set really feels like. I can't be the only one that feels like this is a very impactful set. This is a very, maybe not collector heavy set, but a very impactful competitive set, and it just goes to show you that's kind of just what Pokemon does, even in their official standard TCG. Protective Poncho here says, as long as the Pokemon this card is attached to is on your bench, prevent all damage done to that Pokemon by your opponent's attacks and abilities. This literally counters Greninja. I don't know how good it's going to be, because I assume everyone's just going to play. If you're a Greninja player, you just run what, 2 Guzmas now? This is pretty crazy. This is a Pokemon tool card that really makes us feel heard to a certain degree. But that's not all, you guys. You know what else we got? More stadium cards. One being Training Arena that says attacks used by Stage 1 Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, do plus 10 damage. That's a permanent Giovanni for things like Mega Altaria, Mega Gyarados, but also things like Charmeleon and Ivysaur, which does no damage. But you get the point. That's pretty good. And the other brand new stadium is Starting Plains, which says each basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, gets plus 20. So this is pretty nice for things like Mega Absol is now 190 HP, I believe. Not that that's really going to matter, but it's pretty good for all around. Even basic Pokemon like babies, like Chingling now is a 50 HP, which is kind of annoying. So yeah, very dramatic card that I think has some pretty strong implications. Next up, let's talk about the custom idea that we had on this channel way long ago with the community, and it's actually a real card now. Alolan Muk, Power of Alchemy, basic Pokemon in play. Both yours and your opponents have no abilities. Oh my god. Can we get a moment of silence for Oricorio? Literally all you need is 1 Grimer and 1 Alolan Muk and just run your EXs. You'll never have to worry about Oricorio. Everyone was like, even including myself, Mega Medicham is gonna destroy Oricorio. And meanwhile, we have Alolan Muk sitting there just cheesing like, yeah, that's your hero. So I'm very excited for this card. This changes how I'm gonna deck build this new set, and that's why I am so incredibly excited for this. And it also has an attack that literally knocks out Oricorio. It's designed to counter Oricorio. That yellow in this Alolan Muk is because it's eaten so many Oricorios. And the final card that I really want to emphasize here, not the only card, we're still going to go over other ones, guys, is this Meowth. These are the ones that really stand out to me. Meowth for 50 HP, nothing crazy. You could Lycia this, feeling fine. It draws for you, never does damage, but throw on a Rocky Helmet. Actually, no, that doesn't even matter because of the ability Carefree Steps. If any damage is done to this Pokemon by attacks, flip a coin. If heads, prevent that damage. It has so many implications. It's kind of crazy. Meowth right here could literally just frontline while you ramp something that has like 4 energy in the back line, never even worrying about this guy. And if your opponent keeps if you keep flipping heads, they don't knock you out. They can't knock you out. They can't do any damage as long as it's from attacks. I guess they could Greninja snipe you, but maybe you could protect the Poncho, but then you're in the active spot, not on the bench. Still, there's ways to get around this, but this ability is kind of crazy because there's a 50% chance that your opponent just can't do anything. And now with all that being said, we have the Protective Poncho, we have the Stadium cards, we have the Alolan Muk, we have this card, and we have a few other cards. This set really feels like a sort of mini set rotation. And what I mean by that is, who's really going to be able to play Darkrai Giratina when you have Alolan Muk, or Oricorio when you have Alolan Muk? Greninja, yes, he can still play, he can still get around the Protective Poncho, but it exists now. So now maybe we'll see less Greninjas. which is why this entire set, to me at least, feels like a mini set rotation. Obviously, cards aren't being banned yet from the game. If they will in the future, I have no idea. I'm just saying. But it feels like we're going to see less of those very strong cards because we have other cards that say, hey, you can't do that anymore. Anyway, with that, let's hop into every other card that I want to talk about that's very interesting. Starting with the grass archetypes, I think out of all of these, Roserade is probably the coolest. 90 HP, 2 energy, poison ring 50. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned, but then during their next turn, they can't retreat. So they get stuck, they can't retreat, and they're poisoned. The only way they can retreat is if they're Ultra Beasts, which we saw a few in this set, and if they Lyra. So I don't know, if you play Roserade right, you might be able to trap a Mega Pokemon and just destroy them. Also, that being grass type is really good because it's strong against darkness types. Next Pokemon is Chestnut, 160 HP. It's a stage 2. 2 grass, 2 colorless, Needle Lariat, 80. During your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon is damaged by an attack, do 80 damage to the attacking Pokemon, which is very interesting. It doesn't say the defending Pokemon or anything like that. So even if they swap out, as long as you hit for 80 with this, they can switch their Pokemon. They can keep it in the active. If they hit you and you take damage, whoever gave you that damage, assign them 80 damage. So essentially, by the time it's your turn again, if it's the same Pokemon, you hit 160 on them. Or if they swap out into something else, they're taking 80, which means you're hitting 160 by the time it's your turn again. This is kind of crazy the way it reads. Let me know if I'm not understanding that right, because this might be really, really, really strong, which is kind of crazy. And also, if we ever get a Mega Chestnut, this might have implications that it's going to be kind of broken, I think, personally. Then we have a non-EX Buzzwole here, Ultra Beast, ground beat for 2, 40 plus. If your opponent has gotten exactly 1 point, this attack does 40 more. So for 2, it hits for 80 if they only have 1 exact point, which is pretty cool. And then finally, of course, the Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. We've already talked about this, but in case you didn't watch that video, this is really cool. It's a Confe for every one of your Pokemon that has an energy. Doesn't matter what the energy is. And then if you and your opponent have 5 or more energy in total, you can deal up to 120 damage, which means this probably is played with Superior. But if you're looking for those spicy deck combos, they're not in this video. They will be later today for a day 1 decks video. Very excited to share with you guys that one, but we're just going over the cards, the reviewing. I'm a very casual video here, and I want to hear your guys' opinions in the comments. That's why we do these videos. All right, now we're going into the fire types, and I think Oricorio, I already talked about this, is really cool. During your next turn, attacks used by your Pokemon, not this Pokemon, do plus 20. So you can hit with this and swap into something like Blacephalon EX. What the heck? Yeah, 2 attacks Singe. For 1 fire, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned, okay? And then Pop Punk 140. That is beautiful. Discard 3 fire energy from this Pokemon. That's less beautiful. But you can get it back. You know how? Lusamine. Double Lusamine in your deck. This is an Ultra Beast, guys. This is like Guzzlord EX. This is like Celesteela. It has the Ultra Beast trait. So you can literally Lusamine as long as your opponent has 1 prize point, right? So you have to let them knock out something, and then you can just very easily Blacephalon, Lusamine, like just repeatedly hit 140s. But you have to prioritize that. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. Also, this works with the new Stadium card to increase its HP up to 160, which could be something really cool. And the last fire type that I really want to talk about is the Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon non-EX. Hearthflame Dance for 2, flip a coin. If heads, take 2 fire energy and attach it to any one of your bench Pokemon. Hello? This is how I would play this. With the Blacephalon, you play this, you get this up to 2, you ramp 2 onto that one, onto the bench. If they knock out this guy, they've already gotten 1 point, and now your Lusamine's active. You bring in your Blacephalon, and you just wipe the floor with your opponent. They can't do anything. This feels pretty good, prioritizing this in the active, and then ramping your Blacephalon. Or maybe something else like your Charizard, Mega Charizard Y, Blaziken, whatever you want in the background. I think this is actually pretty strong. And if you throw in a will, it's a guaranteed heads. You're guaranteed to. But even if you don't throw in a will, it's a 40 damage. And there's a 50-50 chance you get some free energy out of it. Now we're in water territory. We're talking about Alolan Ninetales EX Binding Snow What? I love this. This might be a day one cook if I can pull it. 2 water energies. During your opponent's next turn, they can't attack. Just kidding. I can't read. They can't take any energy from their energy zone to attach their active Pokemon. So it's essentially, this is Banette. This is Banette, right? Binding Snow for 80, and then they can't attach any energy onto their active Pokemon. Throwing this in with something like TRG would be diabolical. Something that removes energy. I think this is going to be an insanely strong card. What do you mean? It's literally an EX Banette, but so much better for water type. Already an archetype that has really strong cards, like Greninja. This is going to be so busted. Next up is another EX, Mega Swampert EX, 230 HP. And I'll be honest with you guys, let me know in the comments. This is why we do these videos, because maybe day one, I'm not understanding something. I'm only human. But it says here, 3 water energy, strong armed destroyer, 150 damage is good. Discard 2 random energies from among the energy attached to all Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. So let's just say this, you knock out your opponent's Pokemon and they lose their active. They have 1 bench, but you don't have any bench, or you do have a bench. This attack could, in theory, remove 2 energies from Mega Swampert. And now you can't attack next turn. You have a Mega Pokemon stuck in the active. I think you have to run double Lero with this, because what the heck? You're just asking for them to like beat you up, like win the entire game by accidentally discarding 2 from your own Mega Swampert. I don't know. And is it a guaranteed 2 random energies from 1 single Pokemon, or is it 1-1, or is it 1 here, 1? You know what I'm saying? There's just so many questions. I don't fully understand this. I don't think this is as great as it sounds to me, or as it looks in my head. Next up, we have Vanillix, which brings back Sweet's Relay for water types. A huge fan of this. You could run a Cherubi, what's it called? The Alcremie, and then have a 140 HP right here that hits for 120, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Huge fan of this. By the time they knock this out, Alcremie will come in and hit for what, like 250? It's crazy. It's so good. And then finally for water, I have Wellspring Mask Ogerpon, 80 HP, 2 energy, flip a coin if heads, maybe another will, 40 damage onto their bench as well. So 40 to the active, 40 to the bench, 80 on board. That's pretty good for a basic. Now we're in lightning territory. We have a Pikachu here, a brand new Pikachu that has 30 damage, deals 10 to itself. However, this 30 is enough to knock out babies outside of them having that new stadium in play, which I think is pretty good, which is why I want to talk about it. And we have a new basic Alolan Raichu with the ability Surge Surfer. If a stadium is in play, this Pokemon has no retreat. So even if you're going into a psychic type and they have that psychic free retreat or -2 energy retreat cost stadium, Peculiar Plaza, that's what it's called. I need to memorize these names, guys. We have this guy that says, hey, me too, not to worry. Also, Thunder Spear, 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, just anywhere on the board. Active spot, bench, not too bad. I like a snipe for 2. But if I'm not mistaken, this is where my brain is starting, you guys. Yup, this works as long as you choose the target as the opponent's active. If you hit their bench, it's only going to hit for 50. But if you had training area with that brand new Alolan Raichu, you're actually hitting for 60 on their active spot, which isn't crazy, but it is a non-EX. And then finally for lightning, I want to talk about Toxtricity EX 150, 3 energy, 2 lightning, 1 colorless, damaging spark, 90 damage. This attack also does 30 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon that has damage on it. Well, you can play a Spiritomb, damage everything for 10, or you can play the new Spiritomb. I guess we'll just hop around the order just so I could show you this combo. Have this Spiritomb in your active spot while you're beefing up your Toxtricity, getting it up to that 3 energy. And by the time your opponent knocks out this Spiritomb, the ability says if this Pokemon is in the active spot and is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, do 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Then your Toxtricity comes in, hits for 90, and then chips everything for 30, which is pretty good. However, I do think the other Spiritomb might in fact be better. Now we're in psychic territory. We have a new basic base non-EX Gardevoir, and I think it's pretty good, you guys, for two psychic energies. It also ramps 2 psychic energies to any one of your benched psychic Pokemon, which is kind of nuts. Honestly, I might play this over the Mega Gardevoir. if I'm being so for real. The only issue is that this needs to be in the active, uses the attack, and then it ramps something. But again, it's 130 HP. It's not too bad. Speaking of Mega Gardevoir, if you missed it, here it is. It's for 2 energy, 110 damage. It's a Mega for 210 HP. Take 3 Psychic Energy from your energy zone and attach it to your Psychic Pokemon in any way you like. So I think this with the new Peculiar Plaza is going to be fantastic because you can just retreat for free while ramping other Psychic Pokemon any way you like. Let's talk about Meloetta here with the ability Strange Singing. It's already a card we've already seen. At the beginning of your turn, if this Pokemon's in the active spot, put a random Psychic Pokemon from your deck into your hand. This is going to help evolving your Gardevoirs or any stage 3s super easy. So if you want to run 2 stage 2s in your deck, running this and maybe, what was it called? The other guy, Shiinotic, either one of those. This is a basic, but the other one is a stage 1. It could really be good and help you thin out your deck super fast. Then we have the Mimikyu EX, which I think this is how it works. As soon as you play this card, as soon as this card hits the board, it'll have the icon for this disguise effect. And then the first time it's damaged by an attack, it'll go away, right? So it's not like you can switch for free Peculiar Plaza and keep activating this. They wrote it in a way that says as soon as you play this card, it gets the effect. But as soon as it gets attacked, the effect is gone. So it can sit on the bench all game. This is my understanding. I could be wrong. It can sit on the bench all game, never take damage. And by the time it goes in, it'll have that effect still until it takes that first time damage. And it claw slashes for 70. And with that new stadium, it's a 140 HP, which is pretty good. And then we have Poltegeist here, which the ability is pretty long. Essentially, it's Mars. This ability is literally Mars. It says if you evolve from your hand, yada, 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 you may have your opponent shuffle their hand into their deck. For each remaining point that they have, the opponent needs to win. They draw a card. So from my understanding, that's literally Mars, but with extra steps and extra words. And it frees up your supporter card for that turn. So it's not bad. It is a 70 HP. It's not great though. Let's be honest. Now we're in fighting territory. I think Machop is pretty good with Shatter. Discards a Stadium in play. Fantastic card right here. And we're getting a Milling Machamp. Some people are like, oh, this is a gimmick, but like for 2 energy, 80 damage. Yes, please. And we get to discard the top card of my opponent's deck by going second, right? Going second and being lucky enough to have a rare candy Machamp. I can start milling my opponent's deck. I think I like that. I think I'm going to try to build a spicy deck around this. Also, I'm a huge fan of Machamp. Next up is Tyrantrum, 150 HP, Tyrannical Fang, 100 damage. It'll deal 180 if you have fewer Pokemon than your opponent does in play. You get an extra 80 damage, so it hits for 180 for 3 energy, which is Lugia EX levels if you think about it. Next is the Galarian Obstacle. We already talked about this. This is going to be insane for dark type decks with the Darkrai, as long as your opponent doesn't have that Galarian Muk. Now I'm like debating maybe I can't play Darkrai anymore. It really just depends. But outside of needing Darkrai, you could just run a Rocky Helmet and still get this guy to hit for 120 if your opponent chips you. And then the coolest, funniest, hilarious card from this entire set is the non-EX Guzzlord, 150 with Break Cord. Yeah, you read that right. I'm taking my time here. 3 darkness, 1 colorless, flip a coin. If heads, discard your opponent's active Pokemon. You don't get a point for this, I don't imagine. It's like Rotom, right? But instead of sending it back to the hand, you discard that Pokemon. So they can have a Mega second stage. They're building up whatever. You probably don't want to discard a Mega. You actually want to knock it out. Unless you can't. All you have to do is flip a coin, will, discard, gone. Next one comes in. Do it again. It does take 4 energy though. This is definitely a Lusamine play. In my head, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's not. It's a cheesy gimmick. I think this is a spicy cook. I don't think you played this in a meta deck. I could be wrong just because it requires so much energy. Lusamine and Will, you won't even be able to do in a single turn. So like, it's a very interesting card. Next up is Galarian Berserker. Dig up once during your turn when you play this card and evolve it from your hand, yada, yada, yada. You may put 2 random Pokemon tool cards from your discard pile into your hand. So this is pretty cool. You can't choose your tools, but if you only have 2 already in there, I think this could be really impactful with something like Mega, what's it called? Melton, right? No, Melton, Mega Melmetal. What am I saying? He's not a Mega. It's just Melmetal. That's what it is. I don't know why I was messing that up. But also, you know what I really think this is for, you guys? And it just dawned on me. I think it's for the brand new Metal Core Barrier because it says if this card is attached to one of your Pokemon, discard it at the end of your turn, right? The Metal Pokemon this card is attached to takes minus 50 damage from attacks. So if you lose it, you discard 2, you could evolve into that Berserker and then add it back to your hand. So essentially you can, in theory, get 6 of those in a single, game, and just prevent your opponent from dealing damage to something like your, I was going to say Mega Melmetal again. But yeah, your Melmetal EX, which I think could be really, really cool. We got Mega Mawile EX, which I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to try to enter tournaments and win a tournament with just this guy. Well, maybe not just this guy now that we have the Alolan Muk, right? Yeah, this thing is, I'm a huge fan. Until this Pokemon leaves the active spot, this Pokemon's Heat Up Crunch attack does plus 30 every turn. So it goes from 60 to 90 to 120 to 150 to just winning the entire game. It's kind of correct for only 2 energy. Then we have Aegislash here, Superb Shield, 80 damage during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon takes minus 80 damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. I think that's really cool. You might even be able to use that new tool card with this to take even less damage. I think this is fantastic. And then the final metal Pokemon I want to talk about is Galarian Stunfisk. What is this? 2 energy, Snapping Trap, 40 damage. During your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, when your opponent's active Pokemon retreats, this attack does 40 damage to the new active Pokemon. So it forces them to say, hey, you have to stay in the active. Because if you switch into something else, I'm getting a free 40 on the board. It's a, what's the term called? Entry hazard almost. This is like our first ever entry hazard in Pokemon Pocket, which I think is really, really cool. Next up, we have Salamence here, which is a fire, a water energy, but you could honestly run this with Magby, right? Or even Mantike and just run the other energies solo. Because if you have 3 energy, it's a guaranteed 150. Flip a coin of tails. You also deal 50 to yourself. I think that's pretty good. I don't think that's terrible. This is probably one of the better, in my opinion, dragon types we've received. It's definitely better than Mega Latios, let me tell you that. So 150 and you may 50% chance hit yourself for 50. I think is pretty good. All right, now let's talk about Mega Kangaskhan EX, Double Punching Family. 80 damage, huge fan of this, because this attack is used twice in a row, only of its kind. The second attack deals 40 damage though, so it's a total of 120. However, if the first attack knocks out your opponent's active Pokemon, the second attack is used after your opponent chooses a new active Pokemon. So you 80 damage something, they bring in something else, that takes 40. It's kind of crazy. I love this. And it's a colorless Mega Pokemon. So if you use the stadium, you go up to 200 HP, use a cape, you go to 220. By the time you get down to potentially losing the whole game, you can just Ilima this bad boy. I think that's pretty cool. Next up is Smeargle, which is Penny but better with the ability Portrait. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon's in the active spot, you may look at a random supporter card from your opponent's hand and then use the effect of that card as the effect of this ability. That's pretty cracked. However, it needs to be in the active spot, so I don't know how crazy that's going to be. Then we have Slacking here that says Snoozing Habit. As long as this Pokemon's in the active spot, whenever you attach energy from the energy zone to this Pokemon, it is now asleep. You get around this by playing Comfey on the bench and running only Psychic Energies. And then this guy hits for 150 for 3 energy, which I think, again, is pretty fantastic. Maybe run a Lyra in this deck. Pretty tanky as well with the 160 HP. And now for the final Pokemon I want to talk about is Tandemaus. We still have a few supporters I want to chat about too. Tandemaus is weird because it's 40 HP and it says Flock. Put 3 random cards. That's what it says to do. From among Tandemaus and Mousehold from your deck onto your bench. I'm so confused because this is a basic and this is a stage 1. Does this mean we could just put this guy straight to our bench? Right? Because then the implications are different, right? That means something entirely different. I'm not entirely sure. Or does it mean that you can just get this guy and then evolve this guy? I think that's technically what it means. I could be wrong. I really have no idea. I really have no idea because Mousehold right here says flip a coin for each Tandemaus and Mousehold you have in play. And if it's the other way, then I think you're flipping 4 coins in total. I really need to test this out and find this out. I think at most you'll only ever have 2 outside of playing Ditto. But the way the basic one is worded, this is so weird and it feels intentional. So that's why this is something I really want to test out day 1 as well. Now, as far as everything else, we also have this lucky ice pop, heal 20 from your active Pokemon. If you healed any damage this way, flip a coin. If heads, put it back into your hand. You don't have to discard it, which is really cool. And then finally, the last supporter card I want to talk about is the new one that we haven't seen, which would have been so good if the number of energies was 2 instead of 3, but I guess it is what it is. You can use this card only if your Pokemon in play have 3 or more different energies, different types of energies attached. Move all energy from your benched Pokemon to your active Pokemon. The only way I see this being good is literally Lugia. It's Lugia support and Ho-Oh support. I can't see it being good in any other reason. Maybe if you're running something like Magneton Ramp and then a different type of dragon that takes like fire, water, like Salamence, maybe that's the scenario where it's good. But that's pretty much it. Anyway, guys, there's my hopefully quick breakdown and review of the entire set. I took my time to really think about these cards. If you're excited about the spicy deck cooks that I'm going to upload later, turn on notifications so you don't miss out, or join the Discord. You'll get notified there. And then a quick reminder, we're going live a few hours before even the new set drops to talk about the new set and then just build hype and get right into it once it drops. I'm trying to build some spicy decks day one. But there you guys have it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, hype, and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Later.